Boys, what a time to be alive. These next 2 months of UFC are going to be unreal. We got pay-per-views and fight nights every single Saturday night. So we're going to be breaking down every single confirmed main event right now.
Yes, and the one that just happened, RoboCop versus
Cannoneer. Prediction,
because this is coming out, or we're filming this before the main event happened. I'll take Jared Cannonier.
I'm taking Jared Cannonier too. I don't trust RoboCop.
Both underdogs. All right.
Ooh.
All right.
Moving on to Seattle, UFC Fight Night Seattle, a card that is just cursed right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
6 pullouts.
6 pullouts
or moved events. You know,
and it's got the main event: Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. It's a fight that I don't want to see because I think this is a tough, one of the toughest stylistic matchups for my boy Song Yadong. You know, the very heavy wrestler, Henry Cejudo. I think he's like a minus 300 favorite in this fight.
Henry Cejudo?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because just the wrestling.
Yeah, well, that's the tough thing. Song Yadong is such good stand-up and such good boxing. You know, we saw in the first round he won against Peter Yan, and I believe that was his last fight. It's been a while. It was,
yeah. Both of these fighters, though, have been out of action for a while. Like, it's been almost close to a year by the time this fight happens next week.
For Cejudo, it has been a full year, pretty much to the date that this is happening.
Yeah, 5 days removed from a day.
Yeah, and his last fight was Marab, which didn't exactly go the best for him, and that's kind of a trend we're seeing where accoladed wrestlers, if that's a word, in their Olympic and college days aren't quite doing as good as MMA wrestlers.
It's a different game.
It is. It's a different game.
It's a world difference,
you
know?
And then before that, he had a split decision loss to Aljo.
For the belt?
Yeah, in 2023. So it's not like he's so far removed from high-level fights. Even Marab's a champion now, and a very good champion at that. Might be the bantamweight GOAT. So it's not like Cejudo is facing these low-level Chito Vera and losing. You know? He actually did have a canceled bout versus Chito Vera, but it never happened. And Song Yadong, it's not like he's faced the strongest resume of opponents.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Yan was a big step up in competition for him.
Yeah, and that's because Peter Yan was on that slide.
Yeah, but we've also seen him lose to top guys like Yan and also Sanhagen, you know, which you don't love to see from a guy like Song Yadong, but I think also at the same time it's Song Yadong. I don't think he's ever going to be a bantamweight champion. You know, he's going to be a guy that's going to hang around the middle of the division, going to put on exciting fights every time, but I think he's going to struggle to actually become the champion just because he is almost very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You know.
And I hope this has all the markings to be like one of those standout performances from Song Yadong, which really puts himself into that contention for the top 5.
Yeah, and I'd love to eat my words because I really do like Song Yadong. I just think that this is a really tough fight for him.
And who knows, Song could rock him early and that changes the course of the fight. It's going to depend on the stuffing the takedowns. If we see Cejudo fail those first couple takedowns, I think it's going to be a very good night for Song Yadong. But if he dominates him for the first round, it's going to be tough to build that back up.
I think that I think that Song Yadong right now is coming off that loss to Peter Yan. I think he's very confident because we have to look back to December. He was going to take a fight against Umar where that would have been such a tough fight. Like, he's willing to take these tough fights. And now he's taking this fight for Henry Cejudo, which is a nightmare matchup for him. You know, they're two polar opposites inside of the UFC, you know? So maybe he's got something rolled up his sleeve. Maybe he's got something we don't know about. But prediction, Lucas, who you got? Cejudo versus Song Yadong.
Because now we have to remember, it's a 5-round fight. These are all main events. Because it's a 5-round fight, and judging what we saw last time out from Song Yadong, where he gassed out very quickly at about halfway through the second round, I am going to go with Cejudo to win by decision. I think in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, he can win all those rounds. And if Song Yadong even wins or rocks him in the first 2, it's still not going to matter.
Yeah, I'm going Song Yadong probably by decision. I think Cejudo is a guy he's tough to put out, you know?
He is.
So I'm gonna go Song Yadong. I'm gonna ride with my boy, ride with my underdog.
Oh, that's a big underdog.
But he's one of my boys. He's like in my top 10. He's one of my guys, so I gotta ride with him.
It's fair.
All right, moving on to March 1st, a fight that has been rescheduled. We have Manel Kape taking on Asu Almabayev. You know, formerly was Brandon Royval, was going to be a number 1 contenders fight. And now we got Manel Kape taking on Asu Almabayev, and it's like, it doesn't really going to do a lot for Manel Kape. I mean, if Asu Almabayev gets this win here, it does a lot for him, you know?
Oh, yeah. This is all upside for Asu Almabayev.
Well, and I think that he actually is very underrated. You know?
He is. No one really talks about him.
Only 2 losses in his career, you know? It's like, I was even like, okay, when I was looking at it, I didn't realize he only had 2 losses.
Yeah, well, he's had some good fights, and he is ranked in the flyweight division. I believe he's ranked about 11th right now.
Somewhere
around there. And he was originally slated to take on Steve Ursag, but that got canceled just because everything's moving around. Brandon Royval kind of messed everything up. So now we get Manel Kape, who's ranked higher than him, taking on another lower level opponent. So Manel Kape's coming off that win against Bruno Silva, which he looked phenomenal against.
The best he's ever looked, which was so good to see after that fight versus Makaev where he looked absolutely horrid.
Yeah, but it's not going to do much for his career if he beats Asu Almabayev because it's another low-ranked person.
And he really hasn't beaten anyone. Like Almabayev really, I'm looking at his page right now. The win that stands out to me the most here is Ode Osborne. You know, outside of that, you know, he's very active. 3 fights in 2024.
Yeah.
You love to see that, but you're not seeing standout names there.
Yeah, the other one, Mateus Nicolau, that's a good win. But it's just not the same level of competition that a Brandon Royval has taken on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I would expect Manel Kape to be miles ahead of him in speed. If you watch Asu Almabayev for a flyweight, he's not that fast. He doesn't mix it up quite as well as Brandon Royval would. So I think this is going to be comparatively an easier night for Manel Kape if he were to take on Brandon Royval. So I'm going to ride with Manel Kape probably by around 3 KO.
I'm thinking Manel Kape round 2 KO.
Okay.
I think he gets it done pretty early.
I think the speed advantage is just going to be massive in there.
Yeah. All right, moving on. UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev.
This one is something I'm looking forward to, but I'm also nervous about.
Yeah, I think that this is one that we don't have to touch on a ton today because we're obviously going to film a ton of content in the coming weeks about this fight.
True.
But I am so ready for Pereira to prove everyone wrong. You know, just for so long, everyone's talking about he's ducking Ankalaev. Ankalaev's his nightmare matchup, and we just continue time after time here talk about how I'm not even worried for Pereira.
Really?
I'm not worried. I have just not sold by Ankalaev. It's going to be one of those fights where people are going to be like, "Oh, why did we think Ankalaev could do this?"
Right.
You know. Pereira has proved himself. Ankalaev has not proved himself.
Yeah.
He obviously has those wins, but like he's not proved himself to be like a championship contender. You know, like what do you see that blows you away?
There's a couple things I like about this fight for Pereira specifically. But first of all, Pereira coming off an insane championship run all in 1 year at light heavyweight. 3 title defenses in like 179 days. Magomed Ankalaev coming off a win over Rakic by decision and then a win over Johnny Walker by KO. So 2 like very middle of the road wins.
High level.
Yeah, no, middle of the road wins. I'm not calling those high level. If he would have beaten someone like a Yuri Prohaska or a Jamal Hill, it would be easier to compare them, I think, because that would have been similar competition. But Ankalaev has good... He's a good fighter because he's able to mix it up. You know, we always talk about how wrestlers have such a strong base because they can always resort to wrestling when they get rocked or if they feel uncomfortable in the striking. It's always like a fallback mechanism, which is so handy to have. But I do think that Pereira is going to outclass Ankalaev by a large margin in the striking. There's the leg kicks that I really like for Pereira. It's a huge factor for Ankalaev, and it always has been a very limiting factor for him. Even in that first fight against Rakic, he arguably lost the first round when Rakic was active. So I think that Pereira, if Ankalaev spends any time on the feet with him at all, then Pereira's going to be winning those rounds.
Feeding leg kicks in there.
Yeah, exactly. Just spamming leg kicks. And Pereira's leg kicks, like, you know, I don't need to tell you guys because you hear Joe Rogan talk about it every single pay-per-view, but there's no telegraph on them. He wraps it around the calf and it hurts even more. So if Ankalaev couldn't withstand Jan Blachowicz leg kicks...
I was literally about to say the same thing. Like, you thought he was going to die from
It's
Jan Blachowicz.
over, bro. It's over. He almost got calf kick TKO'd in that fight. He couldn't walk. So I like that for Pereira. And then I also like the activity for Pereira. He's just been super active. I like that he almost lost the Roundtree fight because it won't make him overconfident. I think that as a champion, if you have round 1 KO, round 1 KO, round 1 KO, and you just dominate everyone, and then you go up against someone who's a tough matchup, you might underestimate them, right? I think Pereira could very easily underestimate Ankalaev, but now that he's had a fight that went very close into the 4th round, it was 2-2, right? In that 4th round until he got the finish. Against rank 8, I think he's going to not take anything for granted.
Yeah, and I like the way that this fight's going to build up because Ankalaev is already he's pissy that Pereira's not in camp every single day training. He's out in Korea filming random videos. Like that makes Ankalaev mad, and maybe we'll actually see something from a press conference in this, even though neither guys are native English speakers.
Yeah,
so it might be tough, but yeah, prediction for you right now.
I don't see this one going to a decision. I think it's unlikely just standing up with Pereira for 5 rounds. It's tough to make it to a decision. I'm probably going to go. I'm trying to think what round.
Yeah, it's tough.
This is tough.
Because here's the thing, too, is like even if Ankalaev ever takes down Pereira, it's not like he's a submission threat.
No.
Like he's just going to lay on him.
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to tap out Pereira.
I'll go round 3 because I don't think that. Well, I know that Magomed Ankalaev doesn't have the same blitz as Khalil Roundtree and doesn't have that same threat early on. So I don't think it's going to be as, Pereira's going to be as tentative. He's also not going to be sick, hopefully.
Yeah, I was thinking round 3 KO for Pereira.
Yeah.
But it's not official. I'll keep it different for now. We'll go round. I don't know where to go from 2 or 4. Like 3 is the middle grounds. We'll go 4 for now, but it'll probably be different on fight night. Time for March 15th. We got a fight night in Las Vegas. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze 2, and wow, this is a great fight.
What an incredible fight. Vettori's finally making his return against Dolidze, who's coming off that win against Kevin Holland. Very strange circumstances because Kevin Holland had a rib injury as they were grappling, so you can't really say that it was a legit win. And then he's also coming off that very strange win over Anthony Smith at light heavyweight, which I thought Smith was going to win. It's one of those fights where he should have won, and then Dolidze just pitter-pattered the entire time. It was a very boring fight.
We got to look back, though, to the first time these guys fought, 2023, where we had Dolidze get that unanimous decision. Sorry, Vettori get the unanimous decision,
Yeah, Vettori, it's not like Vettori's been active, though. I don't think Vettori has done enough in his recent fights or even fought enough compared to Dolidze to keep improving. He's just a big blockhead, good chin, Italian guy. I just don't see him improving from his last fight. And it's not like their last fight was a complete blowout. And I think Dolidze has improved a little bit. He's taken that loss to Imavov. He went on a 2-fight losing streak, but Imavov's good, man. Imavov's really good.
Yeah, we've seen that now that Imavov's legit.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a fight. It's just very much I'm assuming this is an Apex card.
Yeah.
It is an Apex card. Seems very Apex card.
I don't think this is going to be an exciting matchup. I don't see Dolidze being able to put out Vettori, and I don't see Vettori being able to put out Dolidze.
Yeah.
And neither of them really have submission. Like, Dolidze's decent on the ground, but I wouldn't say he's a big submission threat.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a long night.
Vettori got it done the first time. I think I'm leaning Dolidze. I've liked what I've seen out of him in his last couple of fights. So I'm going to go with Dolidze to win by decision.
All right, I'll go different then. I was going to pick Dolidze, but we got to have some difference on this. I'll go Vettori by decision.
All right.
But I'm not excited for that fight.
Couple more fights to go. UFC Fight Night London. Early prediction, this could probably going to be the fight night of the year.
March 22nd. Mark that date down. This is going to be a big.
Oh, perfect. I just realized March 15th, I'm away.
Oh,
lucky me. Lucky me. I'm away. I don't even get to watch that. Shucks.
Too bad.
I was worried because the weekend I'm away is right in the middle of 313 in London. Works out perfectly though. I get to miss Dolidze versus Vettori.
Well, lucky guy.
Solo content from Lucas. Gonna be tons of content coming out that weekend.
I'll tell you all about it.
But UFC Fight Night London, main evented by Leon Edwards versus Jack Della Maddalena.
This is one of the best matchups that you could put on. Finally, JDM is back after his win over Gilbert Burns, TKO in round 3, and then Leon Edwards obviously coming off the loss to Bilal Muhammad. Both of them have taken a little bit of time off, which I think is good for Leon. He needs to reevaluate himself and, I wouldn't say reinvent himself because I don't think he is, but just maybe change up the training a little bit, change up the game plan. I think this is going to be a good fight. It's going to be one of the highest level welterweight fights you could get right now. They're both very high level strikers. JDM obviously more boxing, Leon more kickboxing. I think if JDM can get this in the pocket, he could finish Leon. But Leon, when was the last time we saw Leon get finished?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I couldn't tell you. And I think that this is so interesting because it's going to be whose world is this fight going to play in? Is it going to be in the pocket for JDM, or is it going to be at range for Leon, you know? And it's interesting because when you see a fight like that, it's like, oh crap, this could be a snooze fest. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's not going to be a boring fight.
That's a good point. We saw Shavka's Ian Gary be a little bit boring.
Yeah, or even like MVP versus Shara. You know?
But I don't think that you have Leon or JDM who just smudge people against the fence like Shavka.
Like these guys, they actually are just going to strike, you know?
Yeah.
JDM might try to take down Leon, but that's a thing that's easier said than done. And I think if you're JDM, you're better off keeping this fight on the feet.
Oh, I would
You know?
agree.
Because if Leon's just stuffing all your takedowns, it's just building up his confidence, lowering yours too.
And Leon has underrated jiu-jitsu, you know? He's not a fraud on the ground. He was able to take Kamaru Usman down. He was able to defend
Beat Usman twice.
most of the takedowns from Usman, so he has experience in that. I wouldn't be worried, you know, if Usman can't take him down very well, JDM isn't going to have much of a chance. I think this is going to be, you know, the fight night of the year, potentially.
Yeah, like this does not feel like a fight night main event in 2025. It feels too good.
Yeah.
It feels way too good to be a fight night main event. We're used to getting Vittori versus Delice every weekend.
Yeah,
You know?
and you have so many good fighters on this card. You have Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin, which we talked about a little bit. We have Carlos Olberg versus Jan Blachowicz. We have Charrier, who's coming off that big win.
You might even see one of the other guys like an Arnold Allen or a Lerone Murphy on this card too.
Could be.
So it's a great card. When we go to Europe, like the crowd is so much fun, especially now that it's at a better time too. You
Yeah.
know, it's not in the middle of the night where
Yeah,
it's going to
that's
screw
true.
everything up. Like these guys are going to be fighting. I guess they'll probably be fighting around.
It'll
Main
be
card
7
starts at
p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
there, so they'll be fighting 10, 11. So that's normal time. You know,
Yeah.
that's not even that late. We're not going to see them snoozed off. You know, Leon still talks about how he was
Leon can't
half
make that
asleep.
excuse anymore.
Yeah. So I think that this is an interesting one. I want you to go first on your prediction because I'm going to take the opposite.
Oh, well, I have to go JDM.
Yeah, he's your guy. And I as much as I'm feeling JDM because I want that Shavkat fight,
Yeah.
I'm going to go Leon to get the decision win.
It could go either way. That's the best
Yeah.
thing about this matchup.
But I think this fight does go decision.
yeah, you'd have to think so.
Unless Leon pulls something out of his...
It's head kick, bang.
Yeah. And moving on to the last fight we're going to talk about in this video. March 29th, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg, UFC Mexico City.
Another one which is going to have a good crowd.
And I hate this fight.
It's crazy that they're going fight nights from London to Mexico City back to back.
You know,
What is going on with the UFC?
Did I mention I hate this fight?
Yes.
I hate it.
I think everyone doesn't understand it.
I don't get what is Steve Erceg doing? Who is he sucking? Like what? How is this? Steve, what do you like? There's the video where he mentioned this fight and where he's dressed up as Michael Scott. You can't understand him. The CT is bad. It's bad. He needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
He's gonna die in this ring.
Yeah. Steve is coming off 2 fights where he fought up in the rankings. At number 10, he went up against champion Pantoja, lost that fight by a close decision, and then got right back on the horse because he had so much momentum at UFC 305 Perth, and then got KO'd in the first round by Kaikar France. Instantly. In like the 4th exchange, right?
Yeah.
He hardly landed a punch. And Moreno is coming off probably his best performance against not Asuma Mabayev, but Amir Albazi.
Unreal.
Oh, so it's not an easy matchup for Steve Erceg. Again, like I think the UFC just really need him to save this card because he's a big name who people recognize. Oh, this guy went to a decision with Pantoja. I don't think people know him as much for Kaikar France, like the casual fan.
Yeah.
And because Mexico is closer in proximity to Brazil, similar language, I think those fans would know Erceg for that. So it just might make sense for him to make.
And they just kind of rifled through main events. It was kind of like they were shooting darts and hoping something stuck.
Yeah, who's going to pull out this time?
Yeah, so I don't know. This fight, it has potential to be a great fight.
Oh, I think it'll be really good.
Like I think it's going to be a lot closer to the Pantoja versus Erceg fight than the Erceg versus Kaikar France. Moreno doesn't have that crazy power like Kaikar France. Should be a great fight. I'm just really worried about Steve because what chin does he have left?
Yeah.
I just don't love seeing that he's CTE merchant already.
Well,
those Aussie boys, they're all
crazy. They're all crazy.
They'd be throwing rocks at each other's heads with their kids. That's their enjoyment.
I wouldn't doubt it. For an
But
Aussie.
prediction?
Well, I think logic says you have to go with Brendan Moreno. If Usyk pulls up the upset, it would be unbelievable. But
it would hurt to see Moreno lose, though. It's two guys that you love. Like, these are some of the most lovable fighters, you know? These are fan guys.
oh, for sure.
So it's tough to see them against each other.
Yeah, I think Moreno, he's going to have just success similar to Pantoja where he can mix it up on the ground and on the feet. I think he's might even be a slicker striker than Pantoja, maybe just a little bit. I think Pantoja's striker is very underrated, but I think Moreno is a very good striker.
I would say Moreno's a better striker.
But not as good on the ground. So it's going to be interesting to see how the boxing plays out. But then if Moreno ever gets uncomfortable, he can always shoot a takedown, which is going to help.
And yeah, we saw Usyk loves to take that fight to the ground.
Oh, loves to lose a fight on the ground.
Yeah, and I don't think I think it'll be closer on the ground between Usyk and Moreno.
Yeah, I'm sure Usyk's always improving as well.
Yeah, but I think Moreno's going to get a TKO. I think he's just going to rock him and then finish it on the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure about Usyk's chin.
So that's fair. That's very fair.
But
I'm going decision.
For Moreno?
Yeah.
I'm going Moreno round 4 TKO. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Make sure you guys go down to the comments. Let us know which main event are you guys the most excited for. I'm Pereira versus Ankalaev.
I'm probably Edwards versus JDM.
That's number 2.
Yeah.
I just really want to see Pereira just destroy Ankalaev.
Yeah.
But while you're down there, make sure to like it and subscribe. And we appreciate all the love and support. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.